What is going on, everybody? My name is Will from Ghost Hack, and today I'm going to teach you how to make this drum loop. Okay, I can tell you right now, the best way to make these really organic sounding kind of Foley drum loops is going to be to have a really good Foley pack. Now, if you do not have a good Foley pack, that is 100% okay, because Ghost Hack is giving out a free pack of Foley and effects sounds. The pack starts out with just some canteen sounds, which can be really nice for kind of tonal production sound design. And then there's the Foley, which is the main pack that we are going to be using in this video. And then there is also the sound effects, which have some really cool kind of more processed effects going on. There's a lot of fun stuff in there. But like I said, we are going to be using the Foley section. And what I've done, I have taken some of the most useful pieces out and laid them all out right here. So what I'm going to start out doing is I'm going to start out how you would start any drum loop, with a kick and a snare. However, I'm going to take something that sounds like a kick from this pack and something that sounds like a snare. For the kick, I chose this sample, and for the snare, I chose this sample. And now we can arrange them in a kick snare pattern. Now this is the basic kick and snare pattern that we are going to be using here. And that's just nothing really crazy. That's just a very simple pattern. And then next up, we need to fill in those spaces with some effects just here and there. And that's going to be just, you know, random sort of kind of random organic short Foley sounds, not nearly as heavy and as loud. So I chose this sound right here and this sound right here. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of fill in a few spaces that I need filled in. So let's do that with this sound. All right, I decided to put this in on every offbeat. So that fills in a little bit, but there's still a ton of empty space. Let's do fill in a few more spaces with this one right here. Now, I decided to just use this kind of sparingly because I think it's a pretty interesting kind of sliding sound, and I only wanted to use it here and there. So this is what it sounds like. So just in those few places, but that's okay. We got a lot more samples to work with, and we are definitely going to fill this out. Next, I'm going to take this sample right here. And that's a much longer kind of hit sample. That's almost like a fill. I'm going to use it as a fill here and there. So let me just put this in maybe somewhere here and somewhere here. So this is where I've decided to place both of the fills. So just a couple little instances there. Next up, let's continue to fill out the empty spaces with a few more like small sounds going on. I'm going to use this sound first. And we are just going to throw in a couple of those here and here, just to fill in that little section. And then I'm going to use these, which is very, very light. They're not loud at all. And these are going to go right in those spaces where a kick would normally be, but there isn't one. So that's just going to take up that space. It's very background sounding. You can barely hear it. Next up, we have this one, which I actually kind of like. It's like it's not strong at all. It just has a cool kind of rattling tone at the end of the actual impact. So that's going to actually fill out a lot of space that's in the background. All we need are two little instances. So I'm just going to put it right here in this little blank area after the first kick of each half of the loop. Now it's really coming together. That one thing just kind of filled out a lot of the space. And next up we have this right here, which is a pretty strong hit. And what I wanted to do with this is I wanted to just layer it with the snare. I want this to happen every time the snare happens. So it goes from this to this. So it's hard to hear, but there is a little more impact behind the snare. All right, we're almost done with the Foley section. Next up, we have this right here. which is just it's a much deeper Foley sound going on. There is not a ton of very high end. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use this once. All I want to do is put it right under the very last fill, because we have this fill going. And then we have the exact same thing happening again. I didn't want it to be the exact same sample. I wanted to add something extra to it. So I just added this little sound to just go in the background and make it sound a little bit heavier. And lastly, for the Foley, we have this tiny little dude. This little dude that I'm kind of using as a hi-hat in this situation. In the second half of this little loop, I just put it on every other beat. So it's like, that would be kind of a 4-to-4 pattern there. But I just added it in. It's just going to fill it out a lot, and you can hear it. That just adds a little extra variation and a little more background noise, especially since there's a few samples here that are panned kind of to the right. Now this sample was panned a little to the right as well, but I simply went in here and I swapped the stereo, and now it is panned a little more to the left. It was originally this sound. I just took the little scrape at the end. Now we have our Foley drum loop, which is all fine and dandy, but the best way to use this, I think, is to layer it with synthetic drums. Now I just have a super basic kick and snare here. That's nothing complex at all. You can get that from any kind of pack, really. If you want to get it from a Ghost Hack pack, then there is the Drum Hero pack, which has much better drums than this as well. But I just got a basic kick and snare pattern, and when we layer it with the kicks and snares from here, it can make the drum loop altogether just sound a lot thicker. Now that sounds really good to me, and this is without any kind of reverb. If you wanted to add reverb to all this, let's say I just wanted to add a quick reverb, let me just throw it on the master chain so you can see and hear what I'm talking about. Now there's more room to it, and it sounds a lot more atmospheric. So either way you want to roll with it, you can totally do it. The link to download this free Foley pack is in the description below. So go follow that and just grab it. It's free. What do you have to lose? Nothing. So thank you so much for watching. Have fun with this pack, and I will see you in the next video. Happy producing.